Your New Year's weight loss resolutions don't fail in January. They actually fail in December before you've even made them. After 40 plus years of emotional eating myself, and then after helping several hundred women stop binge eating using strategies that I learned as the chief of staff for FBI counterintelligence, yes, really, I can tell you this. Your January goals collapse because of three specific things you are doing right now in December without even realizing this. So today, I'm breaking down the 3 December mistakes that quietly sabotage your weight loss goals and how to fix each one so that you don't start January starting over again. If you want to finally hit your New Year's goals without the New Year's resolution nonsense, this episode's for you. How often do we start January by saying, this is the year, it's gonna change, everything's gonna change, I'm gonna lose the weight. And then we go right to the gold star. We do that whole Steven Covey thing and we begin with the end in mind. But this is actually setting high achievers up for failure. Because the missing piece of this habit is to end with the beginning in mind. Or even better, just toss the resolution out the window and just become the woman who can lose weight and then effortlessly keep it off. The first thing that most people do in December that set themselves up for failure in January is this. It is unresolved endings. Chances are you started January of this year with some kind of New Year's resolution to lose weight. Maybe you lost a few pounds in January, but chances are you gave up on the diet at some point. And then you probably told yourself at least once in either February or March, you need to get back on track. And then nothing happened until April. And then it's, oh my goodness, I need to lose weight for swimsuit season and summer and vacation. And then nothing. And then the thought briefly crossed your mind again in September with minimal action. Here's the thing. Your brain has to close any kind of open loop. Your brain does not like unresolved endings. Your brain has to take any kind of chaos or dissonance that you have in your life and actually make sense of it. Think of it this way. You know the TV show Friends. Okay, think back to the first time you watched it. And it was probably when it was live when it first came out or, even on a repeat or, tape or DVD or something. But when you first were drawn into the plot line of multiple seasons of whether Ross and Rachel would ever get together, what happened? You had to keep watching because you wanted to know what happened. You would literally rearrange your schedule so you could be home to watch TV that week. It happened to all of us because your brain has to close the loop. It can't have anything unresolved. So what does this look like for you and December and your weight? Every time you say you're going to start a diet and then you stop, so you start and you stop. Every time you say, I'm going to make a New Year's resolution in January. And then every time you say, I'm going to get back on track on Monday, or I'm going to get back on track when that project at work slows down, you're creating this unresolved loop in your brain. It is just like Ross and Rachel, the Ross and Rachel loop. There you go. Your brain keeps tab of every single time you are out of integrity with yourself. Your brain keeps tab every single time, every single time you have a broken promise that you make to yourself. It keeps track of every single habit that you swear you're going to change, but you don't. And now you're operating from a leaky bucket. You can't create the next version of yourself while you are dragging your old identity behind you. Dr. Dexatrim is going to convince you that you need to make a New Year's resolution and you need to go on another diet. That's beginning with the end in mind. And I doubt that's worked well for you in the past. What you need to do instead is simple. It is end with the beginning in mind. It is ending December. It is filling those holes in your bucket so that you can begin with a fresh start. Close those psychological loops that your brain is still running on, and you can have a fresh start. The second thing that most people do in December that set themselves up for failure in January is, and I call this the emotional junk drawer theory. And basically, what they make December the emotional junk drawer of the year. Okay, hear me out. We talked about this on the group coaching call inside of the Break Emotional Eating Accelerator, and my students just cracked up when I called December the emotional junk drawer of the year because it is so accurate. Because I know you have one in your kitchen. We all do. My mom had the Olympic gold medal for winning the messiest, junkiest kitchen junk drawer. My junk drawer now in my kitchen now, it has one of those organizer things. So the junk is organized and everything has a place, but it's still full of junk. What do the self-help gurus tell us to do? Not about the junk drawer, about December. They say, oh, use December as a time for magical reflection and journaling as we end one year and we begin the next one. Yeah, okay, thanks for the advice, Moonflower. Unfortunately, December is a whole CSI show of unprocessed feelings. And when it comes to our weight and our eating habits, those reflections are not positive. They're not even neutral. It's these voices in our head, and they're reminding us of all of the disappointments and the goals that we didn't achieve, even though we swore this year was going to be different. It was the disappointment in how many times we started and stopped and started and stopped. And then this shame we feel from not sticking to it. And then there's this resentment that's been simmering for months because we didn't speak up for ourselves. And then if that stress did not get a proper outlet, it was like right for the secret chocolate stash. And then it was the boundaries that we did not enforce and the people we let walk all over us again. December is the time when we are processing 11 and a half months of junk that is shoved in a drawer that we can barely close. And while you are still processing this, your brain is not going to let you start fresh in January. Your brain is hardwired to resolve discomfort as fast as possible. So it is going to do what it has been trained to do for decades because it's not resolving that discomfort. So it's sending you right to the pantry because food equals comfort. Food equals numb. If you want to begin with the end in mind in January, first you need to end with the beginning in mind in December. Otherwise, your December pain is going to turn into January fantasy of weight loss, which is going to turn into the crash in February. And then the third thing that most people do in December that set themselves up for failure, it's called cognitive overload. There was a study done in 1998 by Roy Baumeister. And what he found was that the more decisions we make during the day, the weaker our ability to resist cravings, and especially at night. And he called this ego depletion. Now, there's been some criticism over this study, but it makes sense when you think about it from the perspective you have cognitive load and you have decision fatigue. So tell me what happens at the end of the day. Tell me what happens at the end of the day. You're gone 100 miles an hour. You did all the things for all the people. You're exhausted. You collapse on the couch. It's 9 o'clock at night. You're watching Netflix. And then what else is going on? You probably have a bag of cookies or chips in your lap, and your laptop's on your lap and you're doing work. Am I at least close? Regardless of what theory you subscribe to, you've probably seen the same basic premise play out in your living room every single night of the week. December is your 9 o'clock at night watching Netflix. You just spent the last 11 and a half months going 100 miles an hour, doing all the things for all the people, and you are exhausted. You are bone freaking tired. Your brain is tired. Your body is tired. Let's take this one step further. Let's go along with this theme of end with the beginning in mind. So go back to the couch at 9 o'clock at night. You watch Netflix and then you go to bed. Well, what does your morning look like? Do you wake up before your alarm? You're all perky. You're ready to take on the day. You're going to jump out of bed and go to the gym and eat out the breakfast. Or Do you wake up with the alarm and it's blaring and you feel like you've been hit by a train? You hit the snooze at least once. You drag yourself out of bed. You're wishing you had the day off. You start the coffee IV drip. You grab whatever packaged muffin or bagel or protein bar that's convenient, and you're 5 minutes late, frantically heading out to work. That's why January looks like it does. Because if you can't even get through a day without collapsing into the couch with your comfort snacks, how are you supposed to be a different woman in January? January success isn't created in January. It is created in December. And all this means is that when you end with the beginning in mind, you are starting your January success right now in December. So, to recap, the three things that most people do in December that set themselves up for failure in January. Number one is the unresolved endings from the entire year. Number two, making December the emotional junk drawer of the year. And then number three is the cognitive overload that's been building the last 12 months. If you have been struggling with at least one of these three, or if one of these three resonate with you, and you want to lose weight in a way that's steady and sustainable without dieting, without willpower, without restriction, it's important to give yourself permission to not listen to the old advice because it hasn't worked in the past. It's important for you to come up with your own strategy, one that's going to rewire your automatic responses so that healthier choices happen naturally. This is when emotional eating, it stops feeling like a fight and weight loss actually becomes sustainable. So let me ask you, are you the type of person who's going to take everything that you learned today and you're nodding your head and you're going to be like, okay, I'll just pick this up in January when the holidays are over? Hello? Or are you the type of person who's going to take everything you learned today and say, I am ready to break that cycle and I'm ready to start right now, today? And if that's you, I have a free training that I think you might find interesting. You're going to get the psychology-based method to outsmart emotional eating in 10 days. I'll leave a link in the show notes, or you can DM me on Instagram at holly.bertone, Bertone, with the word training, and I will send you the link to register. So thanks for tuning in. I'm Holly Bertone, your emotional eating profiler and coach, and this is Weight Loss Forensics.